That afternoon, when I walked into my daughter's house in Los Angeles without announcing myself, I heard a scream that chilled my blood. That useless girl is only good for cleaning. My name is Dolores Miller. I am 56 years old, and what I saw that day changed everything. I had spent 8 years in New York, 8 years building my import business, 8 years sending money every single month, 8 years believing that my Brenda was living the dream I never had. A good marriage, a fancy house in Beverly Hills, stability. 8 years without knowing the truth. I decided to come back unannounced. I wanted to surprise her. I was carrying a suitcase full of gifts, silk scarves, Ralph Lauren perfumes, chocolates from Godiva. In my head, I imagined her face lighting up when she saw me. "Mom," she would hug me. We would cry together. We would drink hot coffee in her modern kitchen, using that Cuisinart coffee maker I gave her before I left. But when I arrived at that imposing 3-story estate with a garden and a limestone fountain, something felt off. I rang the doorbell. No one answered. The door was ajar. I walked in. The silence was strange, heavy, like when you know something bad is about to be revealed but you don't want to see it yet. I followed the sound of water. It was coming from the kitchen. And then I saw her, my Brenda, my daughter, on her knees, her hands red, trembling, scrubbing the marble floor with a dirty rag. She was wearing an old dress that I myself had given her years ago before I left. It was faded, torn at the shoulder. "Brenda," I whispered. She lifted her head, her eyes, my God, her eyes were empty, as if something inside her had died a long time ago. Before I could hug her, I heard heels clicking on the marble. A woman walked in, tall, dressed in white, with perfectly styled hair and blood-red nails. She looked at me up and down, as if I were a fly in her kitchen. Then she looked at Brenda and screamed. "That useless girl is only good for cleaning. Are you done with the floor, or do I need to teach you again?" My daughter lowered her head and said nothing. I felt the air leave my lungs. That woman was Carol Sutton, my daughter's mother-in-law, the mother of Robert, her husband, the owner of that house. Oh, that's what she thought. In that moment, I didn't say a word. I just held that woman's gaze, and something inside me, something that had been dormant for 8 years, woke up. Because I hadn't returned just to visit. I had returned to find out why my daughter had stopped calling me, why her messages were getting shorter, why, when I asked her if she was okay, she always answered, "Yes, Mum, everything's perfect." Now I knew. And what I did next, what I discovered in the following weeks, shocked the whole family. But I can't tell you that yet. Sometimes we trust too much the wrong people. Have you also been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read it. To understand what happened that day, I need to take you back with me, to when Brenda was just a bright-eyed girl running around our little house in Queens. It was a small house, 2 bedrooms, a patio with purple wisteria climbing the fence. Every morning I made coffee in an old metal pot that had belonged to my grandmother. The aroma filled the whole house. Brenda would come down the stairs barefoot, in her teddy bear pajamas, and sit at the kitchen table waiting for me. "Good morning, Mummy," she always said, with that sweet voice that melted my heart. I would serve her a sweet breakfast pastry, a cinnamon roll freshly bought from Mike's Bakery, 2 blocks away. I would spread butter on it. And we would sit together, just the 2 of us, while the sun came in through the window and made her brown hair shine. Her dad had left us when she was 3 years old. He never came back. He never sent money. He never asked about her. So it was just us. Always. I worked at a fabric store downtown. I didn't earn much, but it was enough. Brenda went to a public school. She got good grades. The teachers would tell me, "Mrs. Miller, your daughter is very smart. She has a future." And I believed it. On Sundays, we would go to Central Park. She would run among the trees. I would chase her. We would laugh until our stomachs hurt. Then we would buy hot dogs from a street cart. We would sit on a bench, and she would tell me her dreams. "Mummy, when I grow up, I'm going to have a huge house with a garden, and you're going to live with me, and you're never going to work again." I would stroke her hair. "I don't need a huge house, my love. Having you is having everything." But she insisted. "No, Mummy, you'll see. Someday I'm going to give you everything you deserve." My girl, my Brenda, so full of dreams. When she turned 18, she started studying graphic design at a private university. I got a scholarship for her. It wasn't full, but I worked double shifts to cover the rest. It was worth it. Every sacrifice was worth it. When I saw her leave the house with her backpack, smiling, full of excitement. In her second year, she met Robert. The first time she talked to me about him, her eyes sparkled differently. "Mummy, I met someone." "Oh yeah? What's he like?" He's handsome. He's studying business administration. His family has an import business. They're well off, Mummy." Something in her voice put me on alert. It wasn't happiness. It was awe. As if she couldn't believe someone like that would notice her. "And does he treat you well?" I asked. "Yes, Mummy. He treats me like a queen." I should have listened better. I should have asked her more. But I was tired. I worked so much, and seeing her happy, seeing her smile was all I needed. Months later, she introduced him to me. Robert arrived at our house in a BMW. He was wearing a white shirt, an expensive watch, and cologne that smelled like money. He greeted me politely. He kissed my hand. He called me Mrs. Miller with respect. But there was something in his eyes that I didn't like. I couldn't explain it then. It was as if he was evaluating me, sizing me up, calculating how much we were worth. "Your daughter is an exceptional woman," he told me. "You're very lucky to have her." "She is my treasure," I replied. He smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. That night when he left, I asked Brenda, "Are you sure about him?" "Why do you ask that, Mummy?" "I don't know, honey. I just want you to be happy." "I am happy, Mummy. He loves me. And his family? His family has welcomed me very well." A lie. But I didn't know it yet. A year later, they got married. The wedding was in an elegant ballroom in Beverly Hills. Robert's family paid for everything. All I could give Brenda was a set of embroidered bedsheets that I had made with my own hands. It took me 3 months to finish them. When I gave them to her, she cried. "Mummy, this is the most beautiful gift I've ever received." She put them away in a special box. She promised me she would use them forever. After the wedding, everything changed fast. Brenda moved into the Sutton family's house, a huge residence in Beverly Hills. I only visited once. They received me with cold politeness. The mother-in-law, Carol, looked me up and down, as if measuring every seam of my dress, every year of my life working. "So you're Brenda's mother," she said without smiling. "How nice that you came. Brenda is inside. You can go in." She didn't offer me coffee. She didn't offer me a seat. She made me feel like an intruder. And Brenda, my Brenda, was quiet. She smiled, but it was a tense smile, as if she was afraid of saying the wrong thing. When we were alone for a moment, I asked her, "Are you okay, honey?" "Yes, Mummy, everything is fine. I'm just learning to live here. It's different." "Different how?" "Nothing, Mummy, don't worry." I should have insisted. But a week later, I received a job offer in New York. A friend who had moved there years ago got me a position at an import company. The salary was 4 times what I earned in Los Angeles. I could send money to Brenda, help her, secure her future. I asked Brenda if I should go. "Mommy, go. It's a great opportunity. I'm fine. Robert takes care of me." And I believed her, because she was my daughter, because I loved her, because I wanted to believe that her life was better than mine. I went to New York, and for 8 years, I lived with the illusion that Brenda was living the dream I never had. Until that day. Until I saw her on her knees, scrubbing the floor, with red hands, with empty eyes. Until I heard that woman scream at her, "That useless girl is only good for cleaning." And I understood. I understood that my daughter had not been living a dream. She had been living a nightmare, and I hadn't been there to protect her. As I tell all this, I think about where you might be listening to me. Write the name of your city in the comments. That afternoon, after seeing Brenda on her knees and hearing Carol's scream, I didn't say anything. Not yet. I needed to first understand what was really happening. Carol looked at me with contempt when she saw me standing in the kitchen entrance. "And who are you?" she asked, although something on her face told me she already knew the answer. "I am Dolores Miller, Brenda's mother." Her expression changed for just a second, a flicker of discomfort, but she quickly concealed it. "Ah, the lady from New York. Brenda didn't tell us you were coming." "It's a surprise," I replied, keeping my voice firm. I wanted to see my daughter. Brenda was still on her knees, head bowed, not daring to look at me. Her hands were trembling as she held the dirty rag. "Brenda, get up," I said softly. She hesitated. She glanced at Carol, as if asking for permission. That broke my heart. "Brenda," I repeated, this time more firmly. "Get up, honey." She slowly stood up. Her knees were red. The old, torn dress was loose on her, as if she had lost a lot of weight. When she finally looked at me, I saw something in her eyes that I had never seen before. Shame. "Mummy," she whispered, "I didn't know you were coming." "I see you didn't," I said. And then I looked directly at Carol. "May I speak with my daughter alone?" Carol smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who knows they have power and enjoys using it. Of course, this is her house too. Well, technically it's my house, but Brenda lives here. You can talk in the living room. I have things to do. She walked out of the kitchen, her heels echoing on the marble, leaving a trail of expensive perfume and arrogance. I went up to Brenda and took her hands. They were rough, full of calluses, hands that had worked too much. "What is going on here?" I asked in a low voice. "Nothing, Mummy. Everything is fine." "Don't lie to me, Brenda. I saw you on your knees. I heard what she said to you." She looked away. "It's just that Carol is very demanding about cleaning. She likes everything to be perfect. And I live in her house. It's the least I can do." "The least you can do? Where is Robert? Why isn't he here defending you?" "He's at the company, Mummy. He works a lot. The family business is big. He has a lot of responsibilities." Something in her voice sounded rehearsed, as if she had repeated those words many times, trying to convince herself. "And you? Don't you work?" She bit her lip. "Carol says that a good wife takes care of the house, that my job is to look after Robert and keep everything in order." "But you studied graphic design. You were so talented. Don't you design anymore?" "I haven't had time, Mummy." A lie. I knew it at that moment, but I didn't pressure her. Not yet. "Where are the sheets I gave you?" I asked suddenly. "The ones I embroidered for your wedding." Her face fell. They're stored away. May I see them? Mummy, it's just that. I want to see them, Brenda. She led me to their room. We went up a marble staircase with a golden railing. The house was huge, ostentatious, but there was something empty about it, as if it were just a beautiful shell without a soul. When we entered their bedroom, I was surprised by how small it was compared to the rest of the house. There was barely enough room for a queen-size bed and a small closet. There was no decoration, no pictures of her and Robert together, nothing personal. It was like a maid's room. "The sheets are here," she said, opening the closet. But when she pulled out the box, I saw that it was crumpled, with moisture stains. She opened it carefully, and what I saw broke me inside. The sheets I had embroidered with so much love, with every stitch thought for her, were torn, ripped in several places, and dirty. "What happened?" I asked, feeling a lump in my throat. Carol said they were too cheap for this house, that they didn't match the decor. I used them for a while, but Robert spilled red wine on them one day, and Carol said they were useless, that I should throw them away. "And why didn't you throw them away?" "Because they were yours, Mummy, because you made them with your hands. I couldn't." Her voice broke. For the first time since I arrived, I saw her cry. I hugged her. I felt her small, fragile, trembling body in my arms, and I knew something terrible had been happening for these 8 years. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. "Why didn't you call me?" "Because you were in New York. Because you were working so hard. Because I didn't want to worry you." "And why?" "Because I thought I could handle it. I thought if I tried harder, if I did everything perfectly, she would accept me. He would love me like before." Like before. She pulled away from me and wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "In the beginning, when we got married, Robert was different. He was affectionate, attentive. He brought me flowers. He told me I was beautiful. But little by little, he changed. He started coming home late, not talking to me, treating me like I was invisible. And Carol started giving me orders, criticizing me, telling me that I wasn't good enough for her son, that I came from a poor family, that I should be grateful that they had accepted me. Every word was a knife in my chest. "And Robert? Does he defend you?" Brenda looked down. He says I should be more patient with his mum, that she's just like that she doesn't mean any harm, that I'm too sensitive." "But you heard her, Brenda. I heard her myself. She called you useless. She was mad because I hadn't finished cleaning on time. Some important guests were coming. She needed everything to be perfect. She was justifying her, defending the very woman who was humiliating her. And that scared me more than anything else." "Brenda, listen to me carefully. This is not right. What is happening here is not normal, it's not love." "You don't understand, Mommy. They are different. They are on another level. They have other customs. I have to adapt." "Adapt? Does that include being treated like a servant?" "I'm not their servant. I'm Robert's wife." "Then where is your husband? Why isn't he here with you right now? Why isn't he protecting you?" She didn't answer because she had no answer. We heard footsteps in the hallway. Brenda immediately tensed up. "It's Carol," she whispered. "Please, Mommy, don't make a scene. I don't want trouble." "Trouble? Brenda, there is already trouble. Please." She looked at me with those pleading eyes, and even though everything in me wanted to go downstairs and confront that woman, even though I wanted to scream what I thought, I held myself back. Because I needed time. I needed to understand the whole picture. I needed to know exactly what had been happening for these 8 years. And above all, I needed a plan. Because I hadn't come back from New York just to watch my daughter suffer. I had come back to save her. And that was exactly what I was going to do. The door opened. Carol appeared with a fake smile. "Everything all right in here? Robert just arrived. He's downstairs. He wants to greet his mother-in-law." His mother-in-law. She said it as if the word burned her mouth. "Let's go," I said to Brenda, taking her hand. "We'll go down together." And when I saw Robert in the living room, dressed in his expensive suit, with his gold watch, with his perfect, empty smile, I knew exactly what kind of man he was. The kind of man who allows his mother to destroy his wife. The kind of man who chose comfort over love. The kind of man I was going to take everything from. But that, no one knew yet. Not even I knew how far I was capable of going. As I tell all this, I think about where you might be listening to me. Write the name of your city in the comments. Robert approached with open arms and a smile that looked like it came out of a magazine ad. "Mother-in-law, what a wonderful surprise. Brenda didn't tell us you were coming." He gave me a superficial hug, one of those that mean nothing. He smelled of expensive cologne and something else I couldn't identify at the time. Something fake. "I wanted to surprise you all," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "It's been 8 years. I missed my daughter." "And she missed you too, right, my love?" He looked at Brenda. She nodded quickly without saying a word. "Please sit down," Robert said, pointing to the Italian leather sofa. "Can I get you something? Water? Coffee? Brenda, bring something for your mum." Brenda got up immediately like a spring. She rushed off to the kitchen without even asking me what I wanted. "It's not necessary," I said. "I don't want to bother." "It's no bother," Robert replied, sitting opposite me with his legs crossed. "This is your house too. While you're in the city, you can stay here with us." Carol, who had been watching from the doorway, immediately intervened. "Well, we would have to prepare the guest room. It's full of boxes right now. Maybe it would be more comfortable for the lady to stay in a hotel. We can pay, of course." "It won't be necessary," I said firmly. "I already booked a hotel. I just came to see Brenda." Carol smiled with barely concealed relief. Robert continued talking, filling the silence with empty words about the business, about how well the company was doing, about the new contracts they had secured, about the expansion they were planning. "My father's company, may he rest in peace, has grown a lot under my management. We import high-end European products, wines, oils, cheeses, that sort of thing. We have clients all over the country." I nodded as he spoke, but my mind was elsewhere. I was observing the expensive furniture, the paintings on the walls, the crystal lamps. Everything screamed money, but something didn't add up. The curtains were a little worn at the edges. The rug had old stains that someone had tried to hide. The leather sofa was cracked in some parts. It was like a beautiful facade that was starting to crumble. Brenda returned with a tray. She brought coffee in a fine porcelain cup and Danish butter cookies on a small plate. Her hands trembled slightly as she placed them on the coffee table. "Thank you, honey," I said, taking the cup. I sat there for an hour, listening to Robert talk and talk. Carol interrupted occasionally to boast about their social contacts, about the fancy dinners they attended, about the club they belonged to. Brenda didn't say a single word the entire hour. She was sitting next to Robert, her hands in her lap, her back straight, her gaze fixed on the floor, like a statue, like a lifeless doll. When I finally got up to leave, I asked Brenda to walk me to the door. "I want us to have lunch tomorrow. Just you and me," I said quietly. "I don't know if I can, Mummy. Carol has an appointment and needs me to. Brenda, we agreed. I haven't seen you in 8 years. One lunch. That's all I'm asking. She looked back, where Robert and Carol were talking. Okay, she finally whispered. Where? At the restaurant near Central Park. Do you remember? We used to go when you were little. Her eyes lit up for a second. A flash of the past. I remember. At 2 o'clock in this afternoon. I'll be there, Mummy. She hugged me. And in that hug, I felt everything she couldn't say in words. I felt her fear, her loneliness, her pain. That night, in my hotel, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, thinking about everything I had seen. Brenda's injured hands, her old clothes, her silence. The way she asked for permission with her eyes before doing anything. My daughter had become invisible in her own life, and I hadn't been there to see it. The next morning, I arrived at the restaurant a half-hour early. I wanted to have everything ready. I asked for a table by the window, the same one where we used to sit when she was little. I ordered hot coffee, the kind she liked, and I waited. 2 o'clock in the afternoon came. Brenda didn't show up. 2:15, nothing. 2:30, I sent her a message, no reply. At 2:45, just as I was about to leave, my phone rang. It was Brenda. Mummy, I'm sorry, I won't be able to go. What happened? It's just something came up. Carol needs me to go with her to a doctor's appointment. Her driver is sick and… Brenda, we made plans. I haven't seen you in 8 years. I know, Mummy, I'm so sorry. I promise tomorrow. Tomorrow? Or is something else going to come up tomorrow too? Silence on the other end. It's not that, Mummy. Then what is it? Tell me. Tell me the truth. You just don't understand how things are here. Carol, she needs me. Robert works all day. I'm the only one who can help her. Help her? Brenda, she has money. She can hire anyone. But I'm her daughter-in-law. It's my responsibility. I felt something break inside me. And what about your responsibility to yourself? What about your life? This is my life, Mummy. No, this is not life. This is… I have to hang up. Carol is waiting for me. We'll talk later. She hung up. I stayed there, sitting in that restaurant, with the coffee getting cold, with the memories of when she was a little girl swirling in my head. And I understood something terrible. My daughter had given up on herself. She had erased herself to please that family, to fit in, to be accepted. And the worst thing was that she didn't even realize it. She thought that was love. She thought that was marriage. She thought a woman's sacrifice was normal, because no one had taught her otherwise, because I hadn't been there to teach it to her. I left the restaurant and walked aimlessly through the streets of Hollywood. I passed the park where we used to go. I saw a mother with her young daughter running among the trees, laughing, free. And I promised myself something at that moment. I was going to bring back my daughter, the Brenda who dreamed, the Brenda who laughed, the Brenda who had light in her eyes. No matter what I had to do, no matter how long it took, no matter who I had to fight. But first, I needed information. I needed to know exactly what was going on with that family, because something told me there was more, much more than what was visible on the surface. And I was going to find out. That same afternoon, I did something I never thought I would do. I hired a private investigator. Someone in New York had recommended him to me, a business contact who had used his services before. I explained the situation to him. I gave him the names: Robert Sutton, Carol Sutton, the family business. I need to know everything, I told him. Their financial situation, their business dealings, Their debts, everything. Are you sure, Mrs. Miller? He asked. Sometimes people discover things they'd rather not know. I'm sure. My daughter is in that house, and I need to understand why. Understood. I'll have something for you in a week. A week. 7 days that felt like an eternity. During that time, I tried to see Brenda 3 more times. All 3 times she cancelled, always with a different excuse. Always with that small voice, apologizing, promising that next time she would make it. Until finally, I stopped insisting, because I understood that I wouldn't achieve anything by pressuring her. She was trapped in an invisible web of guilt, fear, and manipulation, and the only way to free her was to cut that web from the root. On the 7th day, the investigator called me. Mrs. Miller, I have the report. Can you come to my office? I'm on my way. An hour later, I was sitting across from him, looking at a thick folder full of documents, photographs, bank statements. And what I saw there changed everything. Absolutely everything. I still wonder if I did the right thing. And you? What would you have done in my place? The investigator's name was Gerald Flowers. He had a small office in the Flatiron district, on the 2nd floor, that smelled of old coffee and paper. He was a man in his 50s, with thick glasses and ink-stained hands. He opened the folder in front of me. Mrs. Miller, this is more complicated than I first thought. What did you find? He pulled out a photograph. It was the facade of a commercial building in the Midtown area. This is the headquarters of Sutton Imports, or what's left of it. What's left? The business has been technically bankrupt for 3 years. They have debts with suppliers in Europe. They total more than $2 million. I felt the air escape me. 2 million? And that's just with suppliers. They also owe the bank. They mortgaged the company 4 years ago to cover losses. They couldn't pay. The bank is in the process of foreclosure. He put another document in front of me. It was a notice of judicial auction. What about the house? I asked. The house where Brenda lives. Gerald pulled out more papers. The house is also mortgaged, twice. The first mortgage was 6 years ago. The second, 2 years ago. They owe approximately $800,000. The bank has already initiated the eviction process. They have 6 months, maybe less. I stared at the documents, unable to process what I was seeing. But they live like rich people. The furniture, the clothes, the cars. A facade, Gerald said, taking off his glasses to clean them. It's all appearances. Robert's car is leased, and he is 3 months behind on payments. The family credit cards are maxed out. Carol owes money even at the beauty salon. How is that possible? How did they get to this? Robert inherited the company from his father 8 years ago. Apparently, Mr. Sutton was a good administrator. He had contacts, reputation, experience. When he died, Robert tried to continue the business, but he had neither the talent nor the discipline of his father. He started making bad deals, trusting the wrong people, spending more than he brought in. And Carol? Carol comes from a family that had money decades ago, but they have nothing left. She lives on appearances. She keeps going to her clubs, her dinners, pretending that everything is fine. But the truth is, they are drowning in debt. I looked at the photographs again. The house, the company, everything was a lie. There's something else, Gerald said in a softer voice. Something about your daughter. What about Brenda? He pulled out a bank receipt. For the past 5 years, Brenda has been transferring money from her personal account to the company's account. Small amounts at first. $500, $1,000. But in the last year, the transfers increased. Last month, she transferred $3,000. Where did she get that money from you? From the transfers you were sending her from New York. The world stopped. What? Every month you sent her money for her to use, for her well-being, I imagine. But she was transferring it directly to the company, to cover expenses, to pay debts, to maintain the illusion that everything was fine. I felt like I couldn't breathe. She never used that money for herself? No, Mom, she used it to save her husband's family. Oh my God, there's more. More? Gerald placed a series of printed photographs in front of me. They were photos of Robert at restaurants, at bars, with a young woman who was not Brenda. Robert has been having an extramarital affair for 2 years. This woman's name is Valerie. She's 26. She works as a public relations specialist. He pays for an apartment for her in Beverly Hills. The apartment is in her name, but he covers the rent. $2,000 a month. Every word was a hammer blow. Does Brenda know? I don't know, but it's possible. How can he pay for an apartment if he's bankrupt? With credit cards, and probably with the money Brenda transfers. It's a vicious cycle. She gives him money to save the company. He uses it to keep his mistress. I closed my eyes. I felt nauseous. My daughter, my girl, working as a maid in that house, giving every cent I sent her, sacrificing herself for a man who was cheating on her, for a family that despised her. And everything was a lie. The wealth, the success, the thriving company, the respectable family. It was all a sham. What else do you need to know? Gerald asked. I want the names of all the creditors. I want to know exactly how much they owe, and to whom. I want to know when each deadline is. I want to know everything. May I ask why? I looked him directly in the eye. Because I'm going to buy those debts. All of them. Gerald looked at me, surprised. Are you sure? That's more than $3 million in total. I have the money. I've been working in New York for 8 years. Saving every penny, investing. I have enough. But Mrs. Miller, if you buy the debts, if I buy the debts, I become the creditor, and I can decide what to do with those properties. Yes, but no buts. Do it. Contact all the creditors. Tell them there's a buyer willing to pay in cash, and I want everything done in silence. No one can know who is behind this. No one. Gerald nodded slowly. You'll need lawyers. This is complex. Get me the best ones. I don't care about the cost. Understood. How long will it take? If we move quickly, a month, maybe less. You have 3 weeks. Mom. 3 weeks, Gerald. My daughter has been suffering in that house for 8 years. I can't leave her there a day longer than necessary. He stood up and extended his hand. I'll do what I can. I left that office with the folder under my arm. I walked through the streets of the Flatiron district, feeling a mix of anger and determination I had never felt before. Robert Sutton, Carol Sutton. They had taken my daughter. They had used her kindness, her innocence, her need to be accepted. They had turned her into their lifeline while they sank into their own incompetence and lies. And my daughter, my poor Brenda, had given everything. Her money, her time, her dignity, her soul. Because that's what good women do, right? They sacrifice, they keep quiet, they endure, they smile while bleeding inside. But no more. That night, in my hotel, I did the math. I checked my savings, my investments, everything I had built in 8 years. I had enough, just enough to buy all the Sutton family's debts. I would be left without savings, without a financial cushion, without security. But that didn't matter, because my daughter was more important than any amount of money. The next day, I tried to see Brenda again. This time, I went straight to the house without warning. I rang the bell. A housekeeper opened the door, an older woman in a grey uniform. "Good morning. I'm looking for Brenda." Mrs. Brenda went out with Mrs. Carroll. They went to the club. "What time will they be back?" "I wouldn't be able to tell you." "And Mr. Robert?" "He's in his study. Do you want me to let him know?" "It's not necessary. I'll come back later." But I didn't leave. I stood outside, looking at that huge house with its perfect facade, its impeccable windows, its well-kept garden. Everything was a lie, and very soon that entire lie was going to collapse. I spent the following weeks meeting with lawyers, signing documents, transferring money. Gerald worked quickly and quietly. He first contacted the bank. I offered to pay the full debt, plus an additional 20%, in exchange for them transferring the mortgage to my name immediately. They accepted. Then we went to the European suppliers. Many had already given up the money as lost. When I offered to pay 70% of what they were owed, in cash, they signed without hesitation. In 2 weeks, I had the deeds to the house and the company in my hands. Everything legal, everything documented, everything in my name. Dolores Miller, the woman who came from Queens, who worked in a fabric store, who cleaned floors so her daughter could study, was now the owner of everything the Suttons boasted about. But I still didn't tell them anything. It wasn't the time yet. First, I needed Brenda to know the truth. And that was the hardest part of all, because the truth would not only destroy the illusion of her marriage, it would destroy everything she had believed for 8 years. The night before confronting them, I dialed Brenda's number. No answer. I left her a message. "Honey, I need to see you. It's urgent. Please call me." An hour later, my phone rang. "Mummy?" "Brenda, thank you for calling. I need us to meet tomorrow." "It's just that tomorrow Carol has—" "Brenda," I interrupted her. "Please, it's important. More important than anything Carol needs." There was a long silence. "Is everything okay, Mummy?" "No, everything is not okay. But it will be, I promise. Can you come to the hotel tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning?" Okay, I'll be there." "Thank you, honey. I love you." "I love you too, Mummy." I hung up and looked out the window of my hotel at the city lights. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, justice would begin. The morning arrived with a grey sky that threatened rain. I woke up at 6 o'clock, though I hadn't really slept. I had spent the whole night rehearsing the words, preparing myself for what I had to tell Brenda. I didn't know how she would react, if she would believe me, if she would get angry at me for investigating her life, if she would side with Robert and Carol. But I had to try. I went down to the hotel restaurant and ordered coffee. I couldn't eat anything. My stomach was turning. I checked my bag over and over again, making sure I had all the documents Gerald had given me. The bank statements, the photographs, the legal papers, the truth printed in black ink on white paper. At 10 minutes to 10, I went up to my room. I had asked for fresh coffee and sweet pastries to be brought up. The cinnamon rolls Brenda liked when she was a little girl. I wanted this to be as painless as possible. At 10 o'clock sharp, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. It was Brenda. She looked tired. She had deep, dark circles under her eyes, her hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. She was wearing a turtleneck sweater, despite the warmth and loose pants that hid her figure. "Hi, Mummy," she said with a small voice. "Honey, come in. Thanks for coming." She walked in slowly, looking around as if she had never been in a hotel before. She sat on the edge of the bed, her hands in her lap, with that rigid posture she had adopted. "Do you want coffee?" I asked. "I brought cinnamon rolls." Her eyes lit up for a second. "I haven't had cinnamon rolls in years." "Why?" Carol says they have too many calories, that I should watch my figure. Robert says so too. I felt the anger rise in my throat, but I swallowed it. Well, today you can eat as many as you want. I poured her coffee into a cup and placed the cinnamon rolls on a plate in front of her. She took one carefully, as if it were something forbidden. She took a small bite. She closed her eyes. "It tastes just like before," she whispered. "Something never change." We ate in silence for a few minutes. I watched her. Every movement, every gesture. I was looking for my daughter inside, beneath that shell of submission. "Mommy, why did you want to see me?" she finally asked. "You said it was urgent." I took a deep breath. "Brenda, I need you to listen to me. Everything I'm going to tell you is the truth. I have proof, but I need you to promise me you'll listen until the end before reacting." Her face went pale. "You're scaring me." "I don't want to scare you. I want to save you." "Save me? From what?" "From them. From Robert. From Carol. From everything." She stood up immediately. "No, I'm not going to listen to this. I knew you were going to criticize my marriage. I knew that—" "Brenda, please sit down. I don't want to hear bad things about my husband, even if they're true. They're not true. You don't know him. You don't live with us. You were in New York for 8 years. While I—" She stopped. She covered her mouth with her hand. "While you what?" I asked softly. "Say it." "While you suffered alone." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm not suffering." "No? Then tell me why your hands are full of calluses. Why are you wearing old clothes? Why did I see you on your knees scrubbing the floor? Why did you stop designing? Why did you stop dreaming?" "Because I'm a wife. Because that's what wives do." "No, Brenda. That is not what wives do. That's what slaves do." She looked at me with fury. "How dare you?" "I dare because I am your mother, because I love you, because I won't stand by while you destroy yourself for people who don't deserve you. Robert loves me. Robert is cheating on you." The silence that followed was deafening. Brenda froze, her mouth open, her eyes wide. "What did you say?" "Robert has a mistress. Her name is Valerie. She's 26. He's paying for an apartment for her in Beverly Hills." "Lie." "I have photographs." "I don't want to see them." "Brenda!" "No!" she screamed. And it was the first time in years I heard her raise her voice. "I'm not going to listen to this. You're making things up to separate me from him." "Why would I do that?" "Because you never liked him. From the beginning, you always thought he wasn't good enough for me." "I thought you weren't good enough for him. And I was right. Because you are worth 1,000 times more than he will ever be able to understand." She collapsed onto the bed, sobbing. I waited. I let the crying come out, years of pain, of humiliation, of silence, all gushing out at once. When she finally calmed down, I sat next to her. I put a hand on her shoulder. "There's more," I said softly, "and you need to know it." "I don't want to know any more." "The company is bankrupt. The house is mortgaged. They have over $3 million in debt. They are going to lose everything in less than 6 months." She slowly lifted her head. "How do you know that?" "I hired an investigator. He gave me all the details. I have the documents right here." I reached for the folder and placed it in front of her. She opened it with trembling hands. She started to read. The bank statements, the foreclosure notices, the lawsuits. "It can't be," she whispered. "It can't be." "It's true, honey. It's all true." But, but Robert always says the business is doing well, that we are expanding. That he lied to you. All these years, he lied to you. She reached the photographs of Robert with Valerie. She stared at them for a long time. In one, they were kissing at the entrance of a restaurant. In another, he was putting a necklace on her. In another, they were entering an apartment building together. "Do you recognize this building?" I said. "It's 6 blocks from your house." A tear fell onto the photograph. "How long?" she asked with a broken voice. 2 years. 2 years. Yes, and me? I gave him everything. All the money you sent me. I transferred it to the company. To help them, to save them. I know. You know? It's in the documents. All the transfers, every cent I sent you, went directly to that phantom company. And he used it to keep his mistress. She doubled over, as if she had been punched in the stomach. I'm an idiot. No, you are not an idiot. You are a woman who loved someone too much who didn't deserve it. I sacrificed everything. My career, my dignity, my life. And for what? For him to cheat on me. For his mother to treat me like trash. To live in a house that isn't even theirs. No more, I said firmly. No more, Brenda. She looked at me with those red, swollen eyes. What can I do? I don't have any money, I don't have a job. I have nothing. You have your mother, and that's more than they have. I don't understand. I pulled another envelope from my bag. Inside were the property deeds, the house, the company, everything. I bought their debts, I said. All of them. The house is in my name now. The company, too. They are mine. Brenda stared at me, not comprehending. What? I spent all my savings, every cent I earned in New York. But I did it. I bought everything they think is theirs. But that means that it means I can do whatever I want with those properties, and what I want is to give them to you. To me? You are my daughter. Everything I have is yours. It always has been. She stared at the documents, unable to process what she was seeing. Why? Why did you do this? Because you are my daughter. Because I love you. Because I will not let that family continue to destroy you. But you lost all your money. Money can be recovered. You cannot. If I had lost you, if you had stayed in that house for a year longer, 2 years longer, I don't know if there would have been anything left of you to save. She hugged me, tight, like when she was a little girl and had nightmares, and I was the only one who could chase them away. Thank you, Mummy, she sobbed. Thank you. I held her while she cried. Years of stored-up tears, years of swallowed humiliation, years of broken silence. When she finally pulled away, her face was soaked, but her eyes were different. There was something there that I hadn't seen in days, something I thought had disappeared forever. There was fury. What are we going to do? She asked. We're going to get your life back. How? Tomorrow. We're going to that house, together, and we're going to tell them the truth, that they have nothing left, that everything is mine now, and that they have to leave. They're going to be furious. Let them be. They can't hurt you anymore. You don't have to fear them anymore. And after? After, you decide. If you want to keep the house is yours. If you want to sell it and start over somewhere else, we'll do that. If you want to go back to school for design, you can pay for it with the sale of the company. Whatever you want, honey. For the first time in 8 years, you decide. I watched as something transformed on her face, as if after years of being asleep, she was finally waking up. I want them to suffer, she said in a low voice. I want them to feel what I felt. They will feel it. Life takes care of that. But we are not going to get our hands dirty with revenge. We are going to enact justice. And justice is simply telling the truth and letting the consequences fall where they may. When? Tomorrow, at 10 o'clock in the morning, we go together. What if Robert asks me not to do it? What if he tells me he loves me? Do you believe him? She thought about it for a long time. No, she finally said. Not anymore. Then it doesn't matter what he says. That night, Brenda stayed at my hotel. I didn't want her to go back to that house. Not yet. We slept in the same bed, like when she was a little girl and was afraid of the dark. But this time, I was the one who was afraid. Afraid that she would change her mind. Afraid that love, or what was left of it, would make her go back. Afraid of losing her again. But when I woke up the next morning, she was already up. She was standing in front of the mirror, looking at herself. Do you know what the saddest thing is? She said without turning around. That I stopped recognizing myself. I haven't known who I am for years. Then it's time for you to find out. She turned toward me. I'm ready, Mummy, let's end this. And in that moment, I saw a flash of the Brenda she had been, the girl who dreamed of having a big house so her mother would never have to work again. The young woman who studied design and had light in her eyes. The woman she could have been if she hadn't met Robert. She was still there, buried, but there. And I was going to help her get out. We arrived at the house at exactly 10 o'clock in the morning. Brenda was wearing a dress we had bought the night before at a store downtown. It was navy blue, simple but elegant. She had worn her hair down for the first time in years. She looked different. She looked like herself. I was wearing my best suit, the one I used for important meetings in New York, and I carried the folder with all the documents under my arm. Brenda pulled out her keys, but before opening, she looked at me. Are you sure about this, Mummy? Completely. And you? She took a deep breath. Yes. I can't keep living like this anymore. I can't keep being invisible anymore. Then let's go in. She opened the door. The house was silent. We heard voices coming from the dining room. Carol and Robert were having breakfast. We walked toward it together. Our steps echoed on the marble. When we entered the dining room, they both looked up, surprised. Robert had the newspaper in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other. Carol was eating sliced fruit with a silver fork. They both looked at us as if we had interrupted something sacred. Brenda, Robert said, I didn't know you had gone out. Where did you spend the night? With my mother, she replied, and her voice sounded firmer than I expected. At her hotel. Carol frowned. You should have told us. We were worried. We thought something had happened to you. Really? Brenda asked. Were you really worried? Or did you not even notice I was gone? Robert put down the newspaper. What's wrong with you? Why the tone? Because we need to talk. All three of us. Well, all four of us. My mother is also in this conversation. Carol looked at me with disdain. What is she doing here? She lives here, I said calmly. Well, technically, I own this house now, so I'm the one who should be asking what you two are doing here. The silence that followed was absolute. Robert and Carol froze like statues. What are you talking about? Robert asked slowly. I'm talking about the fact that I bought all your debts. The mortgage on this house, the mortgage on the company, the debts to the suppliers, everything. And when you buy the debts, you become the creditor, which means that this house, legally, is mine. I placed the folder on the dining room table. I opened it, took out the documents, and placed them one by one in front of them. Here are the property deeds, transferred to my name a week ago. Everything completely legal. You can check it with your lawyers if you want, although I suspect you can't afford lawyers right now. Robert took the papers with trembling hands. He started to read. His face went white. This can't be real. It is completely real. Carol stood up abruptly. How dare you? How dare you come into my house and— It's not your house, I interrupted her. Not anymore. And it hasn't been for a long time. You owed the bank more than $800,000. You were going to lose it anyway. I just sped up the process. Who do you think you are? I am Brenda's mother, the woman you used for 8 years, the woman whose money you used to maintain your farce of wealth, while you treated my daughter like trash. We didn't treat her like trash, Robert shouted. Brenda is my wife. She lives in a beautiful house. She has everything she needs. Everything? Brenda asked, and her voice trembled but didn't break. I have everything. Do I have respect? Do I have love? Do I have dignity? Of course you do. Lie. I have nothing. I am your servant, your mother's servant. I clean her floors, wash her clothes, cook her food, and while I do all that, you are with Valerie. Robert stood up so fast that his chair fell backward. What are you talking about? I know everything, Robert. I know you have a mistress. I know you pay for an apartment for her. I know you use the money my mother sent me to keep her while I break my hands cleaning your house. Brenda, I can explain. I don't want explanations. Not anymore. Carol intervened with a venomous voice. This is your fault, she pointed at me. You put these ideas in her head. You are manipulating her against her own family. Her family? I laughed without humor. You are not her family. I am her family, and the only manipulation here is the one you exerted over her for years. We gave her a roof over her head. We gave her stability. You gave her slavery. You turned her into your unpaid employee. And the worst thing is that you did it so subtly that she thought that was love. Robert walked toward Brenda with open arms. My love, please. This is a misunderstanding. Your mother doesn't understand how things work here. We love you. I love you. Brenda backed away. Don't touch me, Brenda. Don't touch me. I don't want you to ever touch me again. You're being irrational. Your mother brainwashed you. My mother opened my eyes. There's a difference. I pulled another envelope from the folder. They were the photographs of Robert with Valerie. I placed them on the table, one by one. Explain this to her, I said. Explain why you were kissing another woman while your wife was cleaning your mother's floor. Explain why you were paying for an apartment for your mistress with the money she gave you to save the company. Robert looked at the photographs, all colour drained from his face. That is not what it looks like. No, then what is it? It's complicated. It's not complicated, Brenda said. It's betrayal. Plain and simple betrayal. Carol took the photographs and looked at them. For the first time since I met her, I saw something close to discomfort on her face. Robert, what is this? Mum, do you have a mistress? She's not a mistress. She's just someone who what? Someone who understands you better than your wife? Carol's voice was ice. Do you know the scandal this could cause? Do you know what they would say at the club? In society? And there it was. The truth. Carol didn't care about Brenda's pain. She cared about the scandal, the appearance, what people would say. You no longer have a club, I said. You no longer have a society. You no longer have anything but debts and lies. Carol looked at me with pure hatred. This is revenge. That's what this is. You came here to take revenge because your daughter married someone better than you. I came here to save my daughter. And yes, as a bonus, to enact justice. But it is not revenge. Revenge would be cruel. I am just being fair. Fair? Taking our house away is fair. It wasn't your house. It belonged to the bank. And you couldn't pay for it. I could. Then sell it. Sell it and keep the money. But let us live here until we find something else. No. Excuse me? I said no. I want you to leave. Today. Robert took a step toward me, and for the first time, I saw something dangerous in his eyes. You can't kick us out just like that. There are laws. There are laws, yes, and I followed all of them. I have the legal right to ask you to vacate the property, and that is exactly what I am doing. We need time, at least a month. You have until the end of the day. Pack your things and go. This is inhumane. Inhumane? You want to talk about inhumane? Was it human to make Brenda clean on her knees? Was it human to call her useless? Was it human to cheat on her while she gave you every cent she had? No one answered. You have until 6 o'clock this evening, I repeated. If you are still here at that time, I will call the police and have you removed by force. Carol slumped into her chair. Suddenly she looked old. All that haughtiness, that arrogance, had vanished. What remained was a frightened woman who had just lost everything. Where are we going to go? She asked with a small voice. That is not my problem. You should have thought about that before spending money you didn't have, before mortgaging everything, before living a lie for years. Robert approached Brenda once more. My love, please don't let her do this. We are your family. We are married. Not anymore, Brenda said. What? We are not married anymore. I'm filing for divorce. Brenda, no. Please, we can fix this. I can change. I don't want you to change anymore. I don't want anything from you anymore. I just want you out of my life. But I love you. No, you don't love me. You never loved me. You used me, just like she used me, just like everyone used me. But no more. She turned to me. Let's go, Mummy. Are you sure? Completely. We left the dining room together. Behind us we heard Carol crying, Robert shouting. But we didn't stop. We went up to Brenda's room. She started taking her clothes out of the closet. There wasn't much. A few old dresses, worn-out underwear, a pair of shoes. Is this everything? I asked. The rest belongs to them, or they bought it. I don't want anything that comes from them. She found the box with the embroidered sheets, the ones I had made for her. She took them out carefully. I'm taking these. We're going to get them fixed. They'll be like new. No, she said. I want them like this, torn, to remember, to never forget what happened here. She packed everything into a small suitcase. Then she looked around the room. 8 years, she said. 8 years of my life in this place. And I don't have a single thing I want to keep. Not a single photograph. Not a single memory. Nothing. Then let's leave it all behind. Yes, let's leave it all behind. We went downstairs with the suitcase. Robert was in the living room, sitting with his head in his hands. Carol had disappeared, probably to her room. When he saw us pass, he stood up. Brenda, please don't leave. We can talk. We can fix this. I've been with you for 8 years. 8 years. That has to mean something. It means I wasted 8 years of my life. But I won't waste another day. You'll regret this. Maybe. But I'd rather regret leaving than regret staying. We walked out of the house. The sun was shining brightly. The threat of rain had passed. The sky was clear. Brenda stopped at the entrance. She turned to look at the house one last time. "Are you okay?" I asked her. "I don't know. I don't think I feel anything yet. It's like I'm floating. It's normal. It's shock, but it will pass." "And then what?" "Then we live. You decide what to do with this house, with the company, with your life. But you decide. No one else." "I want to sell everything. I don't want any of this. I just want to start over." "Then that's what we'll do." We got into the taxi I had called. As we drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror. Robert had come out to the door. He was watching us leave. His shoulders were slumped, defeat written on every line of his body. But I didn't feel sorry for him. He had had 8 years to be a good husband, 8 years to defend Brenda, 8 years to truly love her, and he had wasted every single one of those days. Now he would have to live with those consequences. And I, finally, had my daughter back. The following months were strange, like living in 2 worlds at the same time. On one side was the legal part, the lawyers, the papers, the divorce process that Robert tried to drag out as long as he could, the negotiations to sell the house and the company, all that cold, bureaucratic world that forced us to face the Sutton family over and over again. On the other side was Brenda, my daughter, rebuilding herself piece by piece. We rented a small apartment in Hollywood, 2 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen, a balcony overlooking a park. It wasn't luxurious, it didn't have marble or crystal lamps, but it was ours. The first weeks were the hardest. Brenda cried at night, not because she missed Robert, but because she was processing all the damage they had done to her, all the lost time, all the version of herself she had buried to please another person. "I feel empty, Mummy," she told me one night. "Like I don't know who I am. I spent so much time being what they wanted that I forgot who I was." Then this is the moment to remember, or better yet, to discover yourself again. We started slowly, small steps. I bought her notebooks and coloured pencils, the same ones she used when she studied design. "I don't know if I still can," she said, looking at them with fear. "Just try. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours." The first days, the notebooks remained closed. She looked at them from a distance, as if they were something dangerous. But one morning I found her at the kitchen table, drawing. It was a simple sketch, a cup of coffee, the wisteria growing on the balcony, her hand moving over the paper. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to interrupt. I just poured her coffee in silence and let her create. When she finished, she showed me the drawing. "It's horrible," she said. "I lost all my technique." "It's beautiful," I said, "because it's yours, because you did it without anyone telling you how to do it." Little by little, she started drawing more, a little more each day. And with every stroke, I saw something in her come back to life. Meanwhile, I took care of selling the properties. It wasn't easy. The house was worth a lot of money, but it also carried the weight of everything that had happened there. Every room held a painful memory for Brenda. A young couple finally bought it. They were having their first baby. They were excited. They made plans about how to decorate the nursery, about the garden where the child would play. "It's good," Brenda said when we signed the papers. "It's good that that house will have a new story, a happy story." The company was more complicated. It was so riddled with debt that almost no one wanted to buy it. Finally, an investor made a low offer, very low, but we accepted it. It wasn't about making money, it was about closing that chapter. With the money from the sales, after paying all the remaining debts, a considerable amount was left. I gave it all to Brenda. "I can't accept it, Mummy. You lost all your savings to buy those properties. And I would do it 1,000 times over. This money is yours. It's the start of your new life. Use it well. What am I going to do with so much money? Whatever you want. For the first time in your life, the decision is only yours. She enrolled in a digital graphic design course. Things had changed a lot since she had studied. Everything was computers now, programs she didn't know, but she learned fast, as if her brain had been asleep and was finally waking up. She started taking yoga classes. She said she needed to reconnect with her body after years of treating it like a machine that was only good for working. She cut her hair, a big change from waist length to a modern shoulder-length cut. When she came out of the salon, I barely recognized her. "What do you think?" she asked, touching her hair nervously. "I think you look beautiful. You look like you." She looked at herself in the car mirror. Carol hated it when I wore my hair short. She said Robert preferred women with long hair, so I never cut it. "And how do you feel now?" "I feel free." During those months, Robert tried to contact her several times. Calls, messages, flowers sent to the apartment. Brenda didn't respond to anything. "Aren't you curious?" I asked her once. "Don't you want to know what he has to say?" "No, because I know exactly what he's going to say. That he misses me, that he made a mistake, that he wants another chance. But the truth is, he had thousands of chances. Every day for 8 years was a chance to treat me well, and he chose not to. What if he really changed? That's not my problem anymore. Let him change for the next woman. I already did my time." Her firmness filled me with pride. One Sunday afternoon, 3 months after leaving the house, we were having coffee on the balcony when Brenda told me, "Mommy, I need to tell you something." Her tone put me on alert. "What is it?" "I've been thinking a lot about everything that happened, about how I got to that point, and I realized something." "What?" "That I also had responsibility, not for what they did. That was their fault. But for staying so long, for accepting the mistreatment, for not defending myself." "Brenda, no. Let me finish. For years, I blamed Robert, Carol, the circumstances. And yes, they were cruel, but I allowed them to be. Every time I kept quiet when I should have spoken up, every time I accepted a humiliation, every time I chose peace over my dignity, those were my decisions. You were in a difficult situation. They manipulated you. I know. But I also know there were moments when I could have left. I could have called you. I could have asked for help. And I didn't. Because I was afraid. Afraid of failing. Afraid of admitting I was wrong. Afraid that people would say I didn't know how to keep my marriage. That doesn't make you responsible for the abuse. No. But it makes me responsible for my own life. And that is the most important lesson I learned from all this, that no one can save me except myself. You were able to get me out of that house, Mommy, and I will be eternally grateful to you. But rebuilding myself, that I can only do myself." I looked at her with astonishment. In those 3 months, my daughter had grown more than in 8 years. "You're right," I said. "And I'm proud of you. Proud that you can see that. There's something else I want to do." "What is it?" "I want to go to therapy. I need to understand why I accepted all of that. What was in me that made me believe I deserved to be treated like that? Because if I don't understand it, if I don't heal it, I'll repeat the same pattern with someone else." That sounds like an excellent idea. She started therapy the following week. She went twice a week. She didn't tell me everything she talked about with her therapist. But I saw the changes, the way she stood straighter, the way she held my gaze, the way she said no without apologizing. One night, after one of her sessions, she arrived at the apartment with red eyes, but with an expression of peace. Are you okay? I asked. Yes. Today we talked about forgiveness. About forgiving Robert. No. About forgiving myself. My therapist says I've been carrying so much guilt, so much shame that I haven't truly allowed myself to heal, that I need to forgive myself for all the times I didn't defend myself, for all the years I lost, for forgetting myself. And were you able to do it? I'm trying. It's harder than I thought, but I'm trying. While Brenda was rebuilding herself, I observed from a distance what was happening with the Suttons, not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to make sure they wouldn't try to hurt Brenda again. Carol moved into a small apartment in Santa Monica. Nothing luxurious, nothing that resembled the life she had before. I saw her once at the supermarket. She was wearing ordinary clothes, no jewelry, her hair uncolored, showing the grey. She looked small, fragile. She was no longer the haughty woman who shouted orders. When she saw me, she looked away and left quickly. I didn't feel satisfaction. I only felt sadness. Sadness for a woman who had based her entire identity on external things. A house, a name, money that she no longer had. And now that all that had disappeared, she had nothing left. Not even herself. Robert was worse. He tried to get a job at several import companies, but his reputation preceded him. The news of his company's bankruptcy had spread quickly in that small, elitist circle. No one wanted to hire him. The last I heard of him was from Gerald, my investigator, who continued to keep me informed. Robert Sutton is working as a salesperson at a department store, he told me. Valerie, his mistress, left him 2 months ago. Apparently, he could no longer maintain the lifestyle she had become accustomed to. How is he? According to my sources, not well. He drinks a lot. He has gained weight. He looks unkempt. Some say he's depressed. I didn't feel joy hearing that. I didn't feel anything like revenge accomplished. I only felt a kind of quiet justice. Life had given Robert exactly what he deserved. Not by my hand, not because I sought to destroy him, but because the natural consequences of his actions finally caught up with him. He had lied. He had cheated. He had used others. He had lived beyond his means, building a false life with borrowed money and empty promises. And now he was paying the price for those decisions. I didn't need to do anything else. Justice is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is simply silent, relentless, like water wearing away stone, not with force, but with persistence. One Sunday afternoon, 6 months after Brenda left that house, we were cooking together in our apartment. She was making tomato sauce. I was preparing chicken. The radio played soft music in the background. The doorbell rang. Brenda went to open it. She came back with a large envelope. "What is it?" I asked. "I don't know. It has no return address." She opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter. I recognized the handwriting immediately. It was Robert's. Brenda read it in silence. Her expression didn't change. When she finished, she placed it on the table. "What does it say?" I asked, although I wasn't sure I wanted to know. "He says he's sorry, that he understands if I can't forgive him, that he knows he ruined everything, that he's going to therapy, that he's trying to be a better person, that he doesn't expect us to get back together, but he wants me to know that he regrets it." "And what do you feel?" She thought about it for a long moment. "Nothing. And that's the strange thing. I would expect to feel rage or sadness or something, but I just feel nothing, like I'm reading about a stranger. Maybe that's the true closure. When someone who once meant everything to you now means nothing. Maybe." She took the letter and put it away in a drawer. "I'm not going to reply. There's nothing to say. He'll have to learn to live with his guilt. I already learned to live without him. And in that moment, I knew that my daughter was truly healed. Not because she had forgiven Robert. Forgiveness would come with time, or maybe it would never come, and both were fine. But because she had recovered something much more valuable than forgiveness toward others. She had recovered her self-respect. The first year after the separation passed like a strange dream. There were difficult moments, nights of insomnia, days when Brenda questioned every decision. But there were also moments of light, of laughter, of rediscovery. I returned to working for an import company in Los Angeles. I didn't earn as much as I did in New York, but it was enough. And the best thing of all was that I was close to Brenda. I could watch her grow. I could be there when she needed me. Brenda finished her graphic design course and started taking freelance jobs. At first, they were small projects, a logo for a coffee shop, a brochure for a store. But her talent was undeniable, and little by little, her reputation grew. A year and a half after leaving Robert, Brenda opened her own design studio. It was small, just her and an assistant, but it was hers, completely hers. On opening day, she hung a painting on her office wall. It was a drawing she had made months earlier, a woman with broken wings that were beginning to heal. "This is to remember," she told me, "to never forget where I come from, but also to know where I am going." While Brenda flourished, I continued to receive occasional reports from Gerald about the Suttons. I didn't ask for them, but he considered it part of his job to keep me informed. Carol had tried to return to her previous social circle, her clubs, her elegant dinners, but they had rejected her. In those circles, wealth was the entrance. Without money, without a house, without a name worth anything, she was invisible. I saw her one more time, 2 years after everything, at a crafts market. She was selling costume jewelry that she made herself. Necklaces, bracelets, earrings. They weren't very good. The beads were poorly assembled, the colours didn't match well. She looked old, much older than her years indicated. The pride that once defined her had crumbled, leaving only an empty shell. When she saw me, this time she didn't run. She stayed there, looking at me, waiting for something. I don't know what. An apology? Compassion? Forgiveness? I approached her stall. I picked up a necklace. It was blue and silver, poorly made, but there was a certain effort in it. "How much does it cost?" I asked. 200 pesos, she said with a hoarse voice. I gave her 300. "Keep the change." "I don't need your charity." "It's not charity. It's justice. You took 8 years with my daughter from me, but you also taught me something important. You taught me that money doesn't make people. Character does." Her eyes filled with tears. "I know what I did to Brenda. I know. And if I could go back in time. But you can't. No one can. We can only live with our decisions. She is fine. She's more than fine. She's happy. I'm glad. I know you won't believe me, but I'm glad. Maybe someday I will believe you. But today I just hope you find your way, as we all have to do." I walked away from her stall. I didn't buy the necklace out of pity. I bought it because I saw something in her eyes I hadn't seen before, something akin to real regret. Not the regret of being caught, but the regret of having caused harm. Maybe it was real, maybe not, but it was no longer my problem to decide. Robert, on the other hand, did not have the same awakening. According to Gerald, he continued to blame everyone but himself. He blamed the economy, his suppliers, his bad luck, me for having stolen his company, Brenda for having abandoned him when he needed her most. He never took responsibility for anything. He worked in several places during those 2 years. He never lasted long. He always had problems with his bosses, with his colleagues. There was always someone else to blame for his failures. His mother could no longer help him. She was struggling with her own survival. And Valerie, the mistress, had disappeared a long time ago. She had married a successful businessman and was living in Miami. Robert lived alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. It wasn't a bad place, but it was very far from the Beverly Hills mansion, very far from the life he had known. I saw him once. It was accidental. I was at a coffee shop near my work when he walked in. He didn't recognize me immediately. He was distracted, looking at his phone. He had changed a lot. He had aged quickly. His hair, once always perfectly styled, was unkempt and greying. He had gained weight. His clothes were ordinary, wrinkled. He no longer wore that expensive watch. He no longer smelled of designer cologne. When he finally saw me, he stopped short. For a moment, I thought he would approach, that he would say something, but he just looked at me with a mixture of shame and resentment. Then he looked away and left the coffee shop without ordering anything. That night, I told Brenda. "And how did you feel seeing him?" she asked. Sad. Not for him, but for what could have been. He had everything, a wife who loved him, a company his father built with effort, opportunities that many people never have, and he wasted it all. You know he tried to contact me again, right? Yes? You hadn't told me? It was a month ago. He wrote to me on social media. He said he had seen my design work, that he was impressed, that he wanted me to know he was proud of me. And what did you say? Nothing. I blocked his account. Because I understood something, Mummy. Robert wasn't proud of me. He was jealous. Jealous that I rebuilt my life while he was still sinking into his. You're right. For a long time I thought my success would be my revenge against him, that he would see how well I was doing and regret it. But the truth is, my success has nothing to do with him. It's only mine. And his failure has nothing to do with me. It's only his. My daughter had matured in ways I never imagined possible. 3 years after the separation, something happened that neither of us expected. Brenda met someone. His name was Andrew. He was an architect, calm, kind, with a genuine smile and eyes that truly saw her. The first time she brought him over for dinner, I observed every gesture, every word, looking for red flags, looking for any similarity to Robert. But there were none. Andrew asked her opinion on everything. He listened when she spoke. He treated her as an equal, not as an accessory. When she mentioned that she had been married before, he didn't judge. He just said, "We all have a past. The important thing is that we learn from it." After he left, Brenda asked me, "What do you think?" I think he seems like a good man, but the most important thing is, what do you think? I'm scared, Mummy. Scared of making a mistake again. Scared of confusing kindness with love. Scared of losing myself again. Those fears are normal, but there's a big difference between now and before. What is it? Now you know yourself. You know what you're worth. You know what you deserve. And if something isn't right, you'll know how to recognize it and leave before it's too late. Do you think so? I know so, because you already did it once, and it was much harder then. Brenda and Andrew continued seeing each other, slowly, without rushing, building something genuine on solid foundations. 1D. 4 years after everything, I was walking downtown when I saw an obituary in a newspaper someone had left on a bench. It was a death notice. Carol Sutton, widow of Sutton, had died of a heart attack. She was 68 years old. The funeral would be private, for close family only. I told Brenda that night. Do you want to go? I asked her. She thought about it for a long time. No, I have nothing to say there. I have nothing to say goodbye to. She stopped existing for me years ago. Are you sure? Completely, but I am going to do something. What? I'm going to light a candle. Not for her, but for the woman she could have been if she hadn't lived her whole life from fear and appearances. That night, Brenda lit a candle on our balcony. She didn't pray. She just stood there, in silence, watching the flame. Do you know what the saddest thing is? She said after a while. That Carol wasn't really evil. She was just scared. Scared of losing her social position. Scared of being nobody without her money. And that fear made her cruel. That's a very wise way of looking at it. My therapist says that understanding is not the same as forgiving. That I can understand why someone hurt me without having to forgive them. And I think she's right. I understand Carol, but I don't forgive her. And it's okay for it to be that way. Yes, it's okay. The candle slowly burned down. When it went out, Brenda closed the window and came back inside. That's it, she said. That chapter is closed. 6 months after Carol's death, I received a message from Gerald. Mrs. Miller, I thought you would want to know. Robert Sutton is hospitalized. He tried to commit suicide. I felt a blow to the chest. Is he alive? Yes. They found him in time. He is under psychiatric observation. Does Brenda know? I don't think so. There is no public news. I only knew because I maintain contacts in those circles. Should I tell her? That's up to you. That night, when Brenda came home, I told her. Her reaction surprised me. She didn't cry. She didn't get upset. She just nodded slowly. It makes sense, she said. Robert always based his worth on external things. His name, his money, his appearance. When he lost all that, he lost his identity, and he had nothing inside to sustain himself. Do you want to visit him? No. Are you sure? Yes, because if I go, he's going to think he still has power over me, that I still care enough to rush to his side. And that's not the case. I'm sad that he's suffering. I'm sad that he got to that point. But his healing is not my responsibility. Mine is. And I've worked too hard on it to risk it now. I sent anonymous flowers to the hospital, with a card that read, "May you find the peace you seek." I don't know if Robert received them. I don't know if he understood who they were from. But it didn't matter. I didn't do it for him. I did it for me. To close that circle with a gesture of humanity, not of vengeance. Months later, Gerald informed me that Robert had been discharged, that he was going to mandatory therapy, that he had joined a support group for men with depression. They say he's genuinely trying to change, Gerald told me, that for the first time he's taking responsibility for his actions. I'm glad for him, truly. Truly? Yes, because the best punishment is not eternal suffering. It's for the person to finally understand the damage they caused and have to live with that knowledge. That's the real justice. Life continued its course. Brenda and Andrew got engaged. The wedding was small, intimate, in a garden full of wisteria, like the wisteria we had at our house in Queens when she was a little girl. When I saw her walk down the aisle, in that simple but beautiful dress that she had designed herself, with that genuine smile that lit up her face, I knew we had reached the end of the dark road. My daughter had come back. Not the Brenda from before. Someone better. Someone stronger. Someone who had been through the fire and had come out forged instead of burned. That night at the reception, Brenda looked for me. "Mummy, I want to dance with you." Now, but it's your wedding. You should be with Andrew. I already danced with him. Now I want to dance with the woman who saved me, with the woman who taught me that true love doesn't make you small, it makes you grow. We danced under the garden lights, with soft music playing in the background. And as I held her, I remembered all the times I had held her before, when she was a baby, when she was learning to walk, when she fell and hurt her knees. And now, after the worst fall of all, she was standing again, stronger than ever. "Thank you, Mummy," she whispered, "for not giving up on me. I never could. You are my daughter, my life, my everything. I love you. I love you too, my girl." The song ended. She went back to Andrew. And I stayed there, watching her laugh, watching her shine, watching her be completely, wonderfully happy. And I knew that justice had arrived. Not in the dramatic way it appears in movies, but in the silent way it truly comes. Robert had lost everything because he never valued anything. Carol had died alone because she had lived for appearances. And Brenda, who had lost years of her life, had recovered them multiplied in quality, in depth, in meaning. That is the true justice. Not revenge, not the suffering of others, but the natural balance that life brings when we finally stop fighting it and start flowing with it. Life always collects its debts, but it also pays its rewards. And my daughter, after years of giving without receiving, was finally receiving everything she deserved. 5 years have passed since that day I walked into that house and saw my daughter on her knees. 5 years that feel like a lifetime. I am sitting now on the balcony of my apartment, the same one where Brenda lit that candle for Carol. I have a cup of coffee in my hands, hot coffee, the way I've always liked it. The aroma takes me back to our house in Queens, to the mornings with Brenda when she was a little girl. But I no longer live in that Hollywood apartment. 2 years ago, I moved to a smaller one, closer to Brenda's studio. She insisted on helping me with the rent, but I told her no. I needed to do this alone. I needed to rebuild my own savings, my own stability, because that is another lesson I learned in all this process. That giving everything for our children sometimes is not loving them. Sometimes it is taking away the opportunity for them to learn to stand on their own. Brenda is now 36 years old. Her design studio grew. She has 5 employees, clients all over the country, even some international ones. Last month, she won a design award for a social campaign about domestic violence. When she went up on stage to accept the award, she talked about her experience. She didn't name names, she didn't point fingers at anyone, she just told her story, the story of a woman who lost herself in a toxic marriage and took years to find herself again. "If my story helps a single woman open her eyes," she said in front of hundreds of people, "it will all have been worth it." I was in the audience. I cried, but they were tears of pride. My girl was no longer my girl. She was a woman, complete, independent, strong. Andrew turned out to be everything Robert never was. Patient, respectful, a true partner. They have a daughter now. Her name is Eleanor, after my mother. She is 2.5 years old, and she is the light of our lives. When I see her running through the park, with that brown hair she inherited from Brenda, with that laughter that fills the whole space, I think about cycles, about how stories repeat themselves, but also about how we can break those cycles if we are willing to do the work. Brenda is raising Eleanor completely differently than how she was raised in the Sutton house. She teaches her that her worth does not come from her appearance or her ability to please others. She teaches her that her voice matters, that she can say no, that she can take up space without apologizing. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't returned from New York that day. If I hadn't walked into that house unannounced, if I hadn't seen Brenda on her knees, how much longer would that situation have lasted? Would Brenda have survived? Not physically, perhaps, but emotionally. Would there have been anything left of her to save? I don't know, and it terrifies me to think about it. But I also know that I can't live in the what-ifs. I can only live in what is. And what is beautiful. I have learned so much in these years, lessons I wish I had known when I was younger, when I was raising Brenda alone, when I was working double shifts to give her what I never had. I learned that love is not sacrifice. Love is balance. It is giving without emptying yourself. It is supporting without disappearing. I learned that money does not define people, but the way they use it reveals who they are. Robert and Carol had money, and they used it to build walls, to show off, to hide their inner emptiness. When they lost the money, nothing was left because there was never anything real underneath. I learned that justice does not always arrive immediately. It is not like in the movies where the villain gets their punishment in the third act. Sometimes justice takes years. Sometimes it is silent. Sometimes it is simply watching, as the natural consequences of someone's actions finally catch up with them. I learned that forgiveness is not mandatory, that it's okay not to forgive those who hurt us, that we can heal without forgiving, that we can move on without giving that gift to those who don't deserve it. Brenda never forgave Robert or Carol, and that's okay. She found peace in another way. She found peace in rebuilding herself, in choosing herself, in creating a life so beautiful that the past no longer has power over her. That, I think, is the best revenge. Not the suffering of the other person, but your own happiness, so complete, so real that it makes everything that happened seem like just a bad dream from which you finally woke up. The other day, Brenda and I were having coffee at her house. Eleanor was playing in the garden with Andrew. The sun was coming in through the window. There was peace, that kind of peace that you only appreciate when you've known chaos. "Mummy, do you ever regret it?" she asked me suddenly. "Regret what?" "Spending all your savings, risking everything for me." I looked her in the eyes, those eyes that now shone with a light that seemed impossible years ago. Never. Not a single day, not a single second. But you lost so much. I gained more. I got you back. And there is no amount of money in the world that is worth what you are worth. Her eyes filled with tears. Sometimes I think about how much time I lost. 8 years. 8 years of my life in that house. 8 years I will never get back. You didn't lose them, you invested them. How can you say that? Because those 8 years taught you lessons you never would have learned otherwise. They taught you who you don't want to be. They taught you what kind of love not to accept. They taught you your own strength. And now, with Andrew, with Eleanor, you are living a completely different life because you know exactly what you don't want to repeat. Do you think everything happens for a reason? I don't know if everything happens for a reason, but I do believe that we can find reason in everything that happens. We can choose what to do with the pain, whether we let it destroy us or whether we use it to build something better. I chose to build. I know, and I am so proud of you. We were silent for a while, watching Eleanor play, that little girl who exists because Brenda had the courage to leave, who exists because I had the courage to return. Sometimes I think about all the women who are right now in the situation Brenda was in, trapped in marriages that destroy them, convinced that that is love, convinced that they don't deserve better. And I wish I could reach every one of them and tell them what I told Brenda, that they deserve to be loved, not tolerated. That true love doesn't hurt, doesn't humiliate, doesn't make you small, that it's never too late to get out, never too late to choose yourself, that the years they felt they lost are not truly lost. They are lessons, scars that show that they survived, and that on the other side of that pain, there is life, there is light, there is the possibility of flourishing again. A few months ago, I received an unexpected call. It was Robert. After 5 years without contact, he called me. My first instinct was to hang up, but something stopped me. Curiosity, perhaps, or maybe the need to fully close that chapter. "Mrs. Miller?" His voice sounded different, older, more tired. "Robert, I know I have no right to call you. I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but I needed to tell you something." I waited in silence. "You were right. About everything. About me. About what I did to Brenda. About my life. I've been in therapy for 3 years. I work on it every day, and I finally understand the damage I caused. Why are you calling me? Why don't you call Brenda?" "Because she made it very clear that she doesn't want to hear anything from me, and I respect that. But you were the one who had the courage to do what I never could. See the truth, act, save her, and I wanted to thank you. I didn't do it for you. I know. You did it for her, as I should have done, but I was too lost in my own cowardice." "What do you want, Robert? Forgiveness?" "No, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that your daughter, that Brenda, I'm aware now that she was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I destroyed it, and I have to live with that every day. And you should. Yes, you should. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Truly. I don't expect that to change anything. I just needed to say it." "It's okay. I heard you. Is she okay?" "Brenda, she's more than okay. She's happy. She has a beautiful life. A life you can never touch." "I'm glad. I truly am glad." I hung up after that. I didn't say anything else. There was nothing else to say. I told Brenda about the call. "And how did you feel hearing it?" she asked. "I think he really has changed, or at least he's trying. But that no longer matters to us, right?" "No, not anymore. I'm happy for him. Truly. I hope he finds peace. But that peace has nothing to do with me." "Exactly. Do you know what the most liberating thing about all this is, Mommy?" "What?" "That I no longer care if he suffers or if he's happy. He no longer takes up space in my head. He no longer takes up space in my heart. He's just someone I knew a long time ago. Nothing more." That is the true healing. When someone who was once your entire world becomes a stranger, not with hatred, not with resentment, simply with indifference. Yesterday was Eleanor's birthday. We had a party in the garden of Brenda and Andrew's house. There were coloured balloons, chocolate cake, children running everywhere. Eleanor opened her gifts with that pure excitement that only children have. And when she finished, she ran toward me. "Grandma, tell me a story." "What kind of story do you want?" "A princess story." I sat her on my lap. "How about I tell you a different story? A story about a princess who didn't need a prince to save her. A princess who saved herself." Her eyes shone. "Yes, that one." And as I told her the story, I saw Brenda watching us from afar, smiling, her eyes wet, because she knew. She knew that the story I was telling Eleanor wasn't just a fairy tale. It was our story. The story of how a woman lost herself and then found herself. The story of how true love, a mother's love, can move mountains. The story of how justice, true justice, is not about destroying others, it is about building yourself. This morning, before sitting down on this balcony with my coffee, Brenda sent me a message. "Thank you, Mummy, for everything, for not giving up, for teaching me that I deserve more, for showing me that true love doesn't hurt. I love you to the moon and back." I cried when I read it. Good tears, tears of gratitude. Because I spent 8 years in New York, away from my daughter, believing I was doing the best for her. And then I spent years more repairing the damage that distance caused. But in the end, I recovered not only my daughter, but a better version of her, and of me. I learned that it is never too late to act, that it is never too late to save the one we love, that it is never too late to say enough. I learned that true wealth is not in big houses or thriving businesses. It is in quiet mornings with coffee, in the laughter of grandchildren, in being able to look your daughter in the eyes and see that she is truly, genuinely happy. If there is anything I would like this story to teach anyone, it is this. If you are in a situation that is destroying you, you can get out. It may seem impossible. It may seem like you don't have the resources or the support or the strength, but you do. It is there, buried under years of doubts and fears. But it is there. And if you know someone who is suffering, don't look the other way. Don't think it's not your problem. Sometimes all someone needs is for one person to see, for one person to act. I could have ignored what I saw that day. I could have thought it wasn't my place to intervene, that Brenda was an adult and should solve her own problems. But something inside me, that mother's instinct that never dies, told me to act. And I did. And that decision, that moment, changed everything. Not because I am special, not because I am heroic, simply because I was willing to see the truth and do whatever was necessary to protect my daughter. That is all it takes sometimes. Someone willing to see, someone willing to act, someone willing to tell the truth when everyone else is comfortable with the lie. The sun is starting to set. In a few hours, Brenda will come with Eleanor. We will have dinner together, as we do every Sunday. And as I cook, as I watch my granddaughter play, as I listen to my daughter laugh, I will know that every cent spent, every tear shed, every difficult moment was worth it. Because my daughter is alive, not just breathing, but truly alive, shining, flourishing. And that, in the end, is all a mother can ask for. My name is Dolores Miller. I am 61 years old, and this is the story I never thought I would have to tell. But if my story helps a single woman open her eyes, if it gives a single mother the courage to act, if it shows a single person that there is always a way out, that there is always hope, then it will have been worth telling. Because in the end, we don't take the money with us. We don't take the houses with us. We don't take the titles or the appearances. We take the love we gave, the lives we touched, the people we saved. And I saved my daughter, and she, in her own way, saved me. Thank you for listening until the end. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone you love. Sometimes, a story like this can change an entire day. It can give someone the strength they need to take that first step. May God bless you. May you find the courage you need to choose yourself, to save yourself, to shine. And remember, it is never too late to start over. Until next time, and may every day be an opportunity to write a better story than yesterday's.